Peace, love, light, and darkness to all my reflections. Thank y'all so much for your support. Don't forget, if you're new to the channel, to like, follow, and subscribe. Okay, family, let's go right in and talk about what's happening in Ohio. Okay, in East Palestine, Ohio, it was a train derailment, right? Now, this train derailment, it let off a big explosion, and not only did it let off a big explosion, something dangerous, but it let out a whole lot of dangerous chemicals that had to have the whole city evacuated. Now, I don't know if y'all heard about this or not, but let me show y'all.
An entire town in Ohio under a state of emergency after a freight train derailed, sparking multiple explosions. At least 50 Norfolk Southern rail cars colliding, some of them, according to authorities, carrying hazardous materials like vinyl chloride.
It's still a very volatile situation.
The massive fire lighting up the skies over the village of East Palestine around 9 p.m. Friday. The orange glow and thick smoke visible for miles. The mayor ordering an estimated 2,000 residents within a 1-mile radius of the scene to evacuate until further notice. Hours after the derailment, some of those rail cars still burning.
We are not allowing any of our people in that area still to this point for safety concerns. The product in question that we're most concerned about is vinyl chloride.
Short-term exposure to vinyl chloride can irritate the eyes, nose, throat, and lungs. Long-term exposure can lead to chronic liver and kidney problems. Janet Meeks and her family live in the evacuation zone, but she says they're staying put to care for their pets.
I wasn't too concerned until I started smelling it, and, our eyes were burning a little bit, so I'm not sure what the long term's going to be.
And then the fact that this not a big news coverage. I mean, they have been covering it here and there. But as serious this situation is, like the magnitude of this situation is too big for it to be small coverage on this. Like, this is deadly to people's health. You cannot breathe this in. Will have irritation to your eyes, nose. They said the long-term effects can cause all kind of cancers through the bodies and everything. Now look, what got me is all the toxic chemicals that's just been released. And then not only did they say that it's toxic for you to breathe it in, but they also say that a lot of these chemicals have possibly gotten into the water supply. Now look, here is the chemicals that they said it was released. Please do not quote me on the pronunciation. I'm going to try to do as best as I can. Now the first one, it says vinyl chloride, a highly flammable, colorless gas used when making plastic, is known as carcinogenic. Butyl acrylate, a flammable clear liquid used in making paints, can cause irritation to the eyes, skin, and respiratory system. Let me see. Ethyl hexyl acrylate, a colorless liquid used in making paints and plastics, can produce hazardous vapors under heat. Let's see. And this last one says ethylene glycol monobutyl, a highly flammable colorless liquid used in making solvent, is deemed as acutely toxic. Another part that gets me though is the fact that they did a controlled burn. Basically, after the train derailed and exploded, what they did was they actually exploded more of the cars and chemicals on purpose to control the burn or to control the damage. But as we just read, well, a lot of those chemicals, when they're exposed to heat, they're more dangerous. So why would you expose it to more heat when you know that the people in that area is going to be breathing that in?
To alleviate the risk, Norfolk Southern Railroad is planning a controlled release of the vinyl chloride at approximately 3:30 p.m.
This material, including vinyl chloride. Short-term exposure to the chemical can irritate the eyes, nose, throat, and lungs. Long-term can lead to chronic liver and kidney problems. Authorities warn the explosion of a rail car could also launch deadly shrapnel up to a mile.
All right, here we go. Let's get a little bit into the story. Okay, it says the February 3rd derailment of a Norfolk Southern train in Ohio included 20 cars transporting toxic chemicals. Some of those toxic chemicals were later purposefully spilled and burnt off to avoid the potential of a more devastating explosion. See, that's just the part right there that don't make sense to me. The Environmental Protection Agency released a list of toxic chemicals. In the immediate aftermath of a Norfolk Southern train derailment near East Palestine, Ohio, February 3rd, the strong cars and ensuing fire weren't the main concern. It was the fact that 20 of 50 cars that derailed, the entire train was 150 cars in length, carried toxic chemicals. We know now what those toxic chemicals are. Following the Ohio train wreck, officials evacuated the area under threat from the potential for air and water contamination, especially if the fire led to an even larger explosion. To help stave off the risk of explosion, chemicals in 5 of the cars were purposefully released into a trench and burned off, reports Newsweek. That had the potential, though, of releasing toxic gases into the air. The U.S. Environmental Protection Agency has been on the scene monitoring air quality throughout the area. And these right here are the chemicals that I already showed y'all, plus these right here as well. And these right here as well. I feel like people's safeties is really not cared about. You know, this has been done purposely, so why would they care about our safety anyway? It's just out of hand. It's out of order. And this is way more serious than they're trying to make it seem. Like, this is serious as, okay, this is serious. And then you have to evacuate the area, right? That area has to be evacuated because clearly it's very toxic, right? Why they only evacuated the area for a short period of time, and in that short period of time, they say, okay, everybody can come back. With all those deadly chemicals, and people can just come back. And I don't care what nobody says, okay? This is a very, very blatant attack against the people. Very. Ohio has been going through stuff like all year, all last year. They've been already declared as a state of emergency. Like, 2023 just popped off, and all this stuff is happening, y'all. So be prepared for a long, crazy, informative 2023.
Basically nuked a town with chemicals so we could get a railroad open.
The U.S. Environmental Protection Agency sent a letter to Norfolk Southern stating that ethylene glycol monobutyl ether, ethylhexylacrylate, and isobutylene were also in the rail cars that were derailed, breached, or on fire. Caggiano says ethylhexylacrylate is especially worrisome. He says it's a carcinogen, and contact with it can cause burning and irritation in the skin and eyes. Breathing it in can irritate the nose, throat, and cause coughing and shortness of breath. Isobutylene is also known to cause dizziness and drowsiness when inhaled.
I was kind of surprised that when they quickly told the people they can go back home, but then said if they feel like they want their homes tested, they can have them tested. I would have far rather they did all the testing.
Caggiano says it's possible some of these chemicals could still be present in homes and on objects until you clean them thoroughly.
So there's a lot of what ifs, and we're going to be looking at this thing 5, 10, 15, 20 years down the line and wondering, gee, cancer clusters could pop up, well water could go bad.
People of the U.S. don't even realize, don't even understand that they are under attack right now by their own GOV. Hey, in the words of my grandma, my granny, who I love very, very much, y'all better wake up and smell the coffee. For real, wake up and smell the coffee. Wake up and see the sunshine, okay? Because there's so much going on, y'all. We have to stay aware. And we cannot be lied to easily, okay? We can't be bombarded with their lies and then just sit there and absorb them lies and don't question nothing. We have to question everything, because clearly when we don't, They just give us any kind of answer they want us to have. Ooh-wee. I need y'all to comment below and tell me more about this story. You know, this story keeps getting updated. You know, this story is about over a week old. And it keeps getting updated, right? So that means that it's more and more to the story. So those of you who actually following this, or who did a story on it already, y'all let me know what's going on. Comment below. Share the story. Let me know, y'all. Because it's so much. It's like, I ain't about to try to keep up with all this stuff all the time, okay? I got other stuff to do. But it is good to be aware. Ohio, if y'all in the building, y'all let me know what's going on too. Let me know. Whew. Peace, light, love, and darkness to all my reflections. Thank you for your support. Okay, and don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe to the channel. Peace.